Hey, throw your hands up in the air. This is Jack Mangan of Support Life and Music, aka S.L.A.M. This episode has Mr. Linden, Miss Min.D, both of Seattle, and Joseph, DJ Dimension Mercado of Phoenix, formerly New York and Miami, all three are DJs, talking about the S.L.A.M perspective on that lifestyle. Quote, bottom line is, we love the music. I remember I was like maybe 10 years old and I had the old tape recorder, black thing, the little buttons on, and I was recording off the radio doing the DJ thing. Keep listening to see who said it and why. All right.
Oh, wait, I didn't.
Wait,
I
what?
didn't approve this. What?
Cut. All right. Well, pump up the volume. This one's a little bit different, but in an awesome way. What's up, everyone? This is Jack Mangan. You know me from S.L.A.M, the Metal Hall of Fame, Metal Asylum. Some of you might know me from something called Deadpan from ancient history. But anyway, enough about me. We're here mainly to talk about sport, life, and music, aka S.L.A.M. We're here to prevent music industry suicide, self-destruction, substance abuse. Just want to keep people positive and keep people going. And I don't know if you noticed, 2025 is a little difficult, so we're going to keep people going. But even if it's not 2025, we want to keep reverse some bad trends. So anyway, well, I'm really honored to want to say thank you so much. We'll start actually with my Phoenix brother over here. Is a guy I know from the local scene down here in Phoenix who does, well, I can't speak for him. He does so many good things, but he actually does a lot of altruistic things, helping out the community, helping out kids and people in trouble. But he's also a DJ, a super skilled one at that, and a comic book creator. So a man after my own heart. DJ Dimension. I won't say everybody's real name unless they want to. DJ Dimension, thank you so much for being here.
All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Joseph DJ Dimension Mercado. I like to use my whole name now because there's a DJ Dimension in the UK that so I like to differentiate, and let them know that I've been here since 1996.
It's hard to vocalize the parentheses US.
Yeah. So it's all good. But here in Phoenix, I've been in Phoenix since about 2004. And in that time, it was during a transition from when I was coming up in the DJ scene, and then I had something happen in my life that caused a transition here that involved kind of stuff that we're talking about, some mental health stuff, some breakdown in my music career at that point, which led to other things happening and bringing me here to Phoenix. Currently these days, after actually working with at-risk youth for about 12 years when I first moved here, during the pandemic, I created a DJ program. It's a DJ workshop, and it's also an empowerment program that I do now with free arts, Boys and Girls Club, after-school programs. I'm starting to do empowerment talks. I'm setting one up this summer. It's going to be sponsored by the Arizona Youth Drug Youth Council, something like that. And it's been an amazing journey. And then during that time and working on the program, I became a comic book creator, where I created a comic book where I become a DJ superhero.
Nice.
And it taps into my story a little bit. But I use the comic book as a tangible thing for the kids and talk to them about tapping into your inner mega powers. And I talk to them about some of my experiences, but reflected more, onto them. And so then they can be like, wow, with music or with anything in our art, we have that point to where we think, it's going to be it. And then, years later, been able to spin it out into so many other things that still reflect my love for music, but has been able to evolve without me holding on to that thing that happened to me and continuing to be like something that hold me down and spin out hope in its place.
Excellent. Well, yeah. Okay, glad you're still here. Glad you're here with us. And yeah, thanks so much for all you do, man. Appreciate it. Now let's go up to our Seattle satellite office. Yeah, up there in Seattle. I'll leave it to you guys to decide who wants to do the introduction first, and then we'll switch over to the other one. But I will say to you both, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for talking about your talents and your amazing talents and all that you do. I can't wait to hear your stories.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Jeremy Linden. I used to DJ under DJ Utopia back in the 90s. Then I realized that it was kind of not really fitting for the more modern times. So I just switched to Mr. Linden. It also fits more with like the style of music that I play.
Okay,
And
cool.
I've been DJing since the mid 90s and here in Seattle, kind of playing out since 2015 or so. And this is one of my cohorts here. And I'll let her.
I'm Mindy. I go by Miss Mindy, and I've been DJing since 2003, 2004. But I've been in Seattle about 20 years DJing as well as promoting shows here under many different crew members and crews. Right now, I'm part of, as Jeremy mentioned, we're part of a house night and underscore recordings. We do back of the house here in Seattle, and then I also run a breakbeat night called Fractured. So we have a couple branches too around the nation. But those are kind of my active things. Oh, and then I also do an Ableton class called SEMPA. So for local
Oh,
producers
cool.
here in Seattle, give them a platform to be able to come share their music. And we do a class, we teach things. And then I'm also involved in a lot of women ran projects here in Seattle. So I'm definitely an advocate for femme identifying community members. So,
Yeah. My my sort of current uh, experience, especially in this sort of in this kind of landscape, is promoting and DJing, but also I would say as a um, older, person in the scene, um, who has pretty much avoided most of the vices that come with it. That's kind of where my sort of experience and um, what my angle for my input could be is like how have I managed to do the avoid these things. And um, so
Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely want to get that perspective for sure. And again, yeah, I look forward to, all of your upcoming projects. It's, again, all three of you are up to some exciting stuff. But let's actually do a little bit of a softball first. Or you guys might say, "What the hell, dude? That's the hardest question of the day." But
Mhm.
so let's start negative, and then we will. Even though the topic is going to be heavy, we're going to keep it light. But let's start with something negative. And actually, you guys will have some fun with this, hopefully. What are some of the stupid things people say? What are the things you're tired of hearing about DJs? Like, for example, my buddies has said, like, people like, what do? You just spin records. What's the big deal? You just got to queue up one record to play after the other one.
if even that.
So what are some of the stupid things and ignorant things that you guys are tired of hearing about DJs? This for it's a toss-up question for whoever wants to take it.
Let me see. One offhand is the old school approach versus like the modern approach. That people using software and syncing and using the tools. And You hear a lot of that from mainly like old school DJs. So I hear you guys. You said when you started DJing, I started DJing in '92, and um, and now I teach classes using DJ Pro, and so I'm open to everything. But hearing the divisiveness in the middle, when it's all about just making people dance and having fun with it, that's one of the things that is like, go away with that debate already. Let's just have fun, listen to music, and let the people vibe out, no matter what approach we're using.
Yeah,
All
part of
right.
my it's actually tough because I don't all the sort of negative things are very situationally based. So it's like it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're in the middle of playing, you get stuff like play something new or play something good.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
if you would, if
yeah.
you would play hip hop, it would be better. And it's like, well, this is not a hip hop night, so yeah,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
or you're what you said, Jack, was actually super appropriate. What are you even doing? Like, what do you guys even do? And it's like, are you gonna complain about a painter who uses oils over a painter who uses watercolors? It's like it's different things. I respect an oil painter and I like to paint with watercolors. 100%. I look up to people who play their instruments and play in bands. It's like a completely different animal, though, And so it's the all the sort of there. It's hard because it's not the type of topic that has this is the stereotypical thing you would hear,
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to go with, oh, you're pretty good for a girl.
Oof.
I'm gonna have to go straight for a microaggression on
Nah,
my end. That's tale as old as time. I've been
Yeah.
hearing that since I've started playing, and even though I don't hear it as much now because most people know who I am and would even dare say something to me like that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't still happen,
Yeah.
it's they don't even realize that they're saying it in a way, but it's like, no, I'm just good because I'm a DJ, not
Mhm.
because I'm a girl.
I'm good because I'm good.
I'm good 'cause
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
Well, now
Yeah.
though, what I
Good.
see is almost the opposite for her. I've witnessed many women come up to her and be like, "Oh my God, it's so awesome to see you up here," rather than, "Oh, you're good for this." It's more like,
Yeah.
"Thank you for being awesome and being up here and representing."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that positive spin at the end of it. That's very cool. All right, so yeah, so well, let's get a little bit to our topic. And as I said, I do want to stress, like, there's some heaviness here, but that doesn't mean we all have to kind of sit around and light candles and cry. Like we can kind of keep it light. So don't worry about that as viewers and for the three of you. So I'll go back. I'll talk a very little bit about my background. I'm not a DJ. I've been great friends with DJs and been in that. I've seen that scene. I can't claim to have been a denizen of Limelight, but I'm proud to say I was there. I mean, Joseph, you were probably there like back in the day,
Yeah.
Limelight in New
Yeah.
York City. But I saw, I did see some of the dark side of the Limelight, and I would never fell prey to it. But I know that, man, the Limelight was notorious for some of the crazy shit that went on there, and I know that's a stereotype in this world, and that's also, but there are real dangers there. So I mean, we don't need to kind of say, like, talk about the crazy shit we've seen, but like, what is your advice for someone kind of getting into this world? Like, how do you not fall prey to that? And again, this is a toss up really to any of you guys want to take it. What do you do to kind of get into this world but not fall prey to the kind of the traps in it?
Well, it depends on your reasoning for going into the world to begin with. Like, um, people party for different reasons. And if you're partying because you just want to have a good time, it's a lot easier to avoid stuff. Or if you like the art or whatever, or you like the fellowship. But if you're partying to cover up something, that can get that's where it starts to get a little dangerous when you start to when you see people who are trying to forget or substitute. It's like it's like same thing with drinking. If you drink alcohol socially just to have a couple of drinks, that's a lot different than if you are drinking to numb some problem that you might have. And so your intent on going into the club is number one. And then the problem is that in the clubs, vices are very readily available. So it's super easy. So you just have to be careful.
Yeah.
I think also uh, that mindset is awesome. Then also having that accountability, like somebody say you got that person that you can always and be truthful with, and that person that can really tell you, hey, that's not what we should be doing right now, and really having that person or that team with you, because there could be times also, I know it happened to me, I didn't have the intention of you know doing doing drugs or partying any extra that I would have, and then you get put into the situation and you're like, okay, when you're kind of like in your own zone, and and that's just me, and I contributing that to back in the day. a little bit more as opposed to now. I'm 55 now, so lack of awareness. Like, you know, even 10 years ago, we didn't have people that talk like we do. Not as much readily available. They did, but not like just kind of freestyle like the way we're doing it now, which is awesome. And this can touch that person randomly on YouTube that we wouldn't even know, and so it creates that accountability across the board. But I think awareness and having that strong support can really and like you said, your intention really huddle you up and create an extra layer to help to reduce those type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to tag on to kind of your awareness and I kind of feel sometimes us as elders, you would say, kind of almost have an obligation at times to educate and
Hmm.
to talk to these younger people and it can be hard sometimes because there is such a generational gap, but like really going out of our way to like get to know some of these people and welcome them, and if you do see them overindulging, paying attention or whatnot. I know it's hard to do that sometimes, but I think like I'm come from the land of dance safe, right, where we had booths that did this job for us, and like we don't really have that here anymore. um so that's one thing, and then I also think if you are going to partake, like have testing strips with you,
Yeah,
have
that's huge. Yeah.
Narcan, have some of those things around you or people that may have them, because you're going to be tempted, and if you do want to do those things, do them safely as you can, and have a buddy system,
Yeah.
have a friend with you, and that's the, awareness and accountability is like, and I agree with your intent,
Mhm.
right? Like they're all good points.
Because there's people out there whose intent is not damaged, or it's just not good,
Yeah.
Right.
and so you got people whose intent is to drop something in someone's drink, and that is vile.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
people, it sucks that you have to have accountability buddies to do that, to watch for that kind of stuff, but it's so
Yeah.
important.
Hmm.
And you see people, you know, if you see like many times I've seen a woman who comes in and she only has one drink. The next thing you know, she is wasted. And you're like, wait a minute. And luckily, most of the places where we perform and host will have like security or something who is totally up on that kind of stuff and be able to help the people. But it's just so disheartening to see it happen.
Hmm.
and and it's like there have been many times when we had the opportunity to name and shame and make sure that people get blacklisted from clubs, and it's like this constant vigilance of them coming back, showing back up, and you're like, God, just go away.
Hmm.
Gross.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad, well, it's disgusting, but I'm so glad you brought it up because, a lot of focus on, through SLAM, and a lot of what we talk about is protecting yourself, really from yourself. But you're right. There are predators out there and these disgusting people that, yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem saying, yeah, if you see it, then yeah, name and shame, and don't give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, that's the sad fact. And I'll listen, I'll defer to your wisdom on this, but I would, in my opinion, don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't be like, well, maybe he didn't, maybe it didn't happen, maybe I just thought I saw it. Like, no, err on the side of caution, because it's just too many fucked up things that can happen. And, you're potentially saving a life. So
Hmm.
for sure, no, I appreciate you guys bringing that up.
Hi, I'm Burton C. Bell here with S.L.A.M with Jack Mangan and Dave Ellefson.
Everybody, David Olson here, and you should support S.L.A.M.
One thing I was gonna kind of segue into, I don't know your next topic, but
Take it.
Min.D had mentioned that generational gap. One topic, it's been a topic of conversation for me, for many of my friends, that COVID took a gap that normally happens and widened it greatly, because there are 24, 25-year-olds now going to clubs who have never went to a club before COVID, and that there is a chain of sort of mentorship that happens even just by being just showing by example. You don't even have to interact with people, but if they see a certain thing, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I see how this is, right? But you have a bunch of people who saw, their idea of clubbing was through YouTube and through performances on like Boiler Room or stuff like that,
yeah.
Twitch, and so they don't have necessarily the example of how to act in some of these clubs, right? And so now it's like trying to get over the social sort of stigma of maybe butting in or like mentoring, just being like, yo, don't be like that, like in this house, this is not how we act,
Yeah, that lines up, I think, Joseph, with a lot of the stuff you do, right? 'Cause, there's a lot of mentorship and helping younger kids kind of grow into this life. So does that take dovetail into the
Yeah.
stuff that you work with?
Yeah, well, during the pandemic, I took the step, and then I created a DJ workshop for youth, and then intentionally target teens and grade school kids, and passing this information on to the younger generation, not necessarily to the generation that might be in the club now. Uh, just being a kind of a little older, I've kind of moved away from that scene. So I put myself intentionally in another space where hopefully a younger generation can take that information and really resonate with it, and hopefully when they reach a point in their lives, whether it's through music or any type of art, just being faced with a challenge in general, they can use some of those tools and start to make a change in their life sooner than later.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna step back a second. We'll go for a little bit of a lighter question. That's a little bit of a not quite as on topic, but so other than like heavy metal, electronic music, electronic dance music, there's probably more subgenres than anything else other than maybe heavy metal. I mean, so talk to me, like educate me, educate the world about like we have the different styles of music. We got house music, techno, Afro beats, boots and cats, and like what are you guys? Are you guys boots and cats DJs? Like, what do you talk to me about what you do and what some of the favorite ones are that are out there? And I mean, like, you can't list them all. We'll be here till like next Tuesday. But
Min.D's more of a boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats.
Okay.
Syncopated. Let's go.
Nice.
I guess I'll start. Because I've been DJing for so long, I mean, all of us are so multi-genre, right? So I'll kind of just describe the silos I live in, which are a variety of house music. So I love disco house, tech house. The raunchier, the better for me when it comes to tech house.
Booty shaking.
Yes, booty shaking. But then I also have a melodic side, like I can do melodic house, progressive house. And then obviously break beats. There are different areas of break beats, but
Hit it.
I'd say there's UK garage, and then more dark and sultry. I definitely like booty breaks and then funky breaks. And then I also play drum and bass. So liquid drum and bass, and then jungle, and just the catch-all of D&B. So those are my areas.
Nice.
Wow. My mind is blowing. My head is like swelling here with all this new information. All
Well,
right.
you can check my SoundCloud.
Yes. No, I did, man. I did it. It's seriously killer stuff. Seriously, as someone who's not as well versed in it as you guys. But I'll put it to you, Mr. Linden. What about you? And what?
Yeah, the genre, it's so funny because I mean, there's a couple of really comprehensive like family trees out there, and it's insane. It's like, I mean, you think Primer is complicated. The
The movie.
timeline of the movie Primer, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Nerd. Anyway, uh, I play a bunch of different stuff. I started in rave, but I don't really play that anymore. And that would be so people say techno. Techno is used to be more catch-all, but it's really narrow now. Techno is a very sort of well-defined narrow thing, but techno used to be basically any electronic dance music, but which now is EDM, but now EDM itself isn't just all electronic dance music because purists will be like, hell no, EDM is like big festival, music that's cheesy. And then it's like, well, so anyway, I play most of the time I play house, and there's a multitude of colors in the rainbow of house, but I generally stay towards uh Jack and House, uh Housey House, some tech house, a little bit of disco house. I also play minimal, and then the minimal starts to move a little bit into techno, and then like I'll play techno, I'll play harder techno, which is like 140 BPM and kind of like almost going towards industrial. And then I dabble in dark disco and ambient, and I'm about to release a drum and bass uh thing. And so yeah, it's there's, like you said, we could be here all day.
Wow.
And I could define them all too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's where it starts getting weird, is because you're like, once you hit the definitions, you're like, okay, actually, no, it's not crazy. I get it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, clear your calendars. We're gonna do this. No, I'm kidding. All right, Joseph. What about you? What do you got in
All
this?
right. So for me, it's probably a little bit more simple. I'm going to piggyback off of you a little bit and keeping. I think I stopped tracking it maybe in 1998, and then I ran my own record label. I have my own record label now since like 2005, and I make content for it and stuff like that. So my main stuff is house, deep house, tech house, techno, drum and bass, breaks. And then after that,
That's
if
it.
I'm if if I create anything after that, you know what I do? I'll create it like now I create music and put something out maybe every Monday or something like that. I call it now it's content.
Hmm.
So I allow the stores to decide to tell me what it is. So on Beatport, I'm like, okay, that's UK breaks. I know
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
Before I didn't know, I
Electronica,
just made it because I like the sound, you
right?
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't putting a label on it myself. So, just I'm learning as I go. So if you show me some of that dark disco, I'm like, all right.
Oh, you would know. You've totally heard dark disco before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That it's kind of that sort of bat cavey, uh, gated snare, almost psychedelic sort. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but if you heard it,
Nice,
you
nice.
would know.
Okay, cool, cool.
This is
Uh,
fascinating.
the
So, all right.
the
Well,
important thing, though, I think, for DJs, I mean, it depends on your outlook, but it's it's so easy to say, oh yeah, these are the genres, but you know what? If it sounds good together, it sounds good together.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yep,
I
yep.
I loathe. I'm super judgy internally. I try not to externalize the judgment. I don't shit on people's parades, but like when you are at a club and you only hear tech house for 3 hours
Hmm.
and it's the same beat, it's
Hmm.
like it's funny because you would think that, oh, DJs, they like the same beat over and over, and it's like, nah, actually, if you only have a three-note bass line and a clap on the snare and a guy and a pitch down rap vocal for 3 hours, you're just like, come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Like throw some other stuff in there.
Facts.
yeah, yeah. Yep, got to mix it up.
nice. Well, I hope
Mhm.
I've done a service to you guys for giving you a place to vent and say this out loud to the rest of the world, outside of your community. Like, don't do this, don't do these things. Well, cool. No, I appreciate that. Like I said, I definitely appreciate what you do, and I definitely listen to to this music. But like, I'm not as embedded like you guys. This is fascinating. This is listening to like the experts at work. It's like I don't know.
Hi, I'm Coffin Comics cover artist and creator of Carnal Sin of Carnal Confessions, S.L.A.M. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the organization S.L.A.M, Support Life and Music. As someone who dabbles in music as well as the visual arts, I know that creativity can sometimes be spawned from some dark places and experiences. I just want you to remember this one thing. You are never alone. I hope you'll join me in supporting S.L.A.M, supporting musicians, and supporting their needs. Thank you.
So I don't, I also want to bear in mind, I don't want to take up your entire evening. So let's, maybe we'll kind of start looking at the door, but maybe why don't you guys, maybe if you have anything that you've seen in your personal experiences, you've already given some great advice. I think some people who are kind of getting in this world and worried about the pitfalls can learn something. Maybe you guys can each kind of take us out with some words of wisdom. Then we'll circle around and do some promotion, but like maybe take some words of wisdom, either some personal experiences, whatever you want to share about how to kind of stay alive, stay sane, stay safe from yourself and from predators in this world. Again, it's a toss up. Actually, I'll single out my oldest friend here. So, Mr. Linden, why don't you start us off?
Well, my big thing is like I came up in when I was younger, I was in a religion, and so I was kind of a goody two shoes. And there's still things that I don't really partake in, but I do partake. And when I do, I the way that I maintain control is I do a small amount of things. So like just above microdosing, like if I'm gonna have mushrooms, I'm gonna have just a little bit, enough to where you start to feel it. And that for me, that's perfectly good. I don't need to be, you know, going crazy. And that's it. So it's like uh, just be very aware that the stuff is readily available and not not fall into. You don't need to do it. That and then balancing it out with just not that. I mean, the moderation goes across the board with either intake or participation. Like if you can't just go to the clubs all the time. You have to, as a DJ, it's really easy to fall into this feeling of I have to be there or else I'm not going to get booked, right? And it's to some extent it's kind of true, but to the other extent it's totally okay. Like you need to have moderation in all of your activities. So touch grass. I mean, you got to touch grass.
Yeah, I think I'll tag on because my comments were definitely going to be about burnout and like your self-care routine is super important. So like if you, and it goes for even if you are partaking, like making sure you give yourself enough rest the next day before you have to go back and be an adult, and like for me, like I would say yes to every booking and everything that came towards me. And at some point I was just like, I physically cannot. And it was actually affecting my work on being able to promote and being able to be present because I was doing too many things. So like sometimes less is more as you're kind of building your book of business of getting booked and things like that. And burnout is super real and you don't have to be at everything. I agree with you on that.
And I can imagine outside of DJing in a band perspective, it would be even worse because there's so much more work that goes into it. And it's just like, oof.
No.
Well, I guess in both worlds there's travel too. I mean, there can be travel, which is
Well, not me. I'm not that big of a DJ. Anyone in Phoenix wants to book me.
we'll get you down here, Mr. Linden. Oh, for sure. Yeah. um, DJ Dimension. What do you think?
Then I'll spin off of you on that burnout part. Recognizing the ability to recognize when and if that situation comes when And if we do burn out, like what are we gonna do? Are we gonna get? Are we gonna keep burning it out until we eat ourselves inside? Until that's what leads to suicide. That's what leads to the heavy drugs, or the depression and the anxiety. Knowing and being aware of being, hey, you know what? I'm at this point, like I really need to make a change where you're humble yourself to find some help, find some support, and knowing that there's support out there to help get you to that next level to where as an artist you can return to the art. And then also understanding that you might have a couple years in that club world, and then what are you going to do after? Like I'm 55, so what did I do when I first moved out here to Phoenix? I was out there every day at Bar Smith and all these different underground collective events. I threw my own event for years, and then 2018 2019 came. I was doing these dope events, but then I wasn't really getting booked myself, so I was like, wow. So then I stopped. I was like, I'm gonna change this up because I felt myself being kind of uh, maybe that time had passed, and then there's nothing wrong with that. So then I took that and I spun it, into my comic book where I'm able to talk. I turn into a DJ superhero. I create music. I have QRLs in in here to where I spin. I'm able to spin on my art in a tangible way, in some way where I've never thought. And then I also became a music teacher where I'm teaching kids how to DJ using the iPad and little DJ controllers. And that in the last 3 years between the comic book, between the comic book and becoming a comic book author and creator has uplifted me more than I think when I was a younger dude, when I was 30 something, and I was DJing, in Miami Beach, and I had the residency, and I was being flown back and forth to, you know, I played big gigs. I opened up for guys like Todd Terry, uh, in New York. Guys like Armand Van Helden were all around. I produced records on Strictly Rhythm, King Street. I'm pointing over here because I got stuff on my wall. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, our heart and soul, and then uh, pushing through that legacy to where maybe we can touch somebody else and be like, hey, we're going through the same thing, but how are you going to make it out of this? So the same thing doesn't happen to you, you know? So um, I think that's my thought offhand on that.
I think it's important as not to paint, it with a wide brush, but like a lot of DJs problems will stem from rejection sensitivity.
Yep.
And um, understanding that it's important, especially as an older DJ, to understand that the clubbing is really a young person's game. And it sucks to say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're absolutely, there's ageism, and there's a reason why fewer and fewer older DJs that aren't like superstar established don't get booked. And I think it's really probably prevalent in the local scenes. I know it is here in Seattle, where I can throw a freaking stick and hit like 5 good DJs over 50.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It is like, I'm not even joking. It's literally ridiculous. We have too many DJs in Seattle.
Yeah.
We are very robust.
but it's important to be okay with that. Like you have to understand that it's okay, and you can still do your thing. You can still record. Like I put mixes out because I want to.
Right.
And so it's like I am and always have been a DJ. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a DJ. So it's like I'm not a trendy guy. I'm doing it because I have to. Like it's a thing. And so I think that having that faith, I guess, is, for the lack of a better word, that like that awareness of self is important, because it helps me not get too down on it. Like, yeah, I get down on not getting booked, but as long as you're self-aware and you don't lie to yourself, you should be able to get through it.
Yeah, yeah. Bottom line is, we love the music, as DJs. I'm like you. I remember, I was like maybe 10 years old and I had the old tape recorder, the little black thing with the little buttons on the, and I was recording off the radio and doing the DJ thing, like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
how you doing? I'm DJ Joe. That last song was
I still
Tears
have
for
a couple of
Fears,
tapes. I have a couple of tapes of us doing it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And we had the we took the microphone we took the headphones apart and talked into the little Walkman microphone, and so you could hear
Nice.
like the noise of like the cord moving around, and we'd be like, we're listening to. It was
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
We had little
Yep, that's
sketches and
awesome.
everything.
Oh,
Yep.
this is a great story.
Oh,
It's on
Yeah.
my SoundCloud.
we need to
Yeah.
hear those, and they just need to be incorporated in a future mix there, Jeremy. But
I mean, you remember the KYAT thing I did back in the day, the yacht rock?
yes,
And I had everyone send in, then made up a DJ. It's fun. I love that kind of stuff. I can't find
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yep. Yeah,
I held it.
tapping into that original love and remembering it. The reason why we really enjoy being DJs or just simply playing music. Whether it's on vinyl, CD, or whatever. A lot of times when I do my classes, I'll be there with fifth graders or whatever, and they'll be like, "Mister, are you famous?" I'm walking to the room like you're famous or something, and I'm like, "Hey, I had some cool stuff happen, but let's talk about really enjoying the music. Let's talk about the cool stuff that it does for you and really enjoying it through the waves of your life to where,
Yeah.
I'll tell them I started, you know, when I was 8 years old and I'm 55, 56 soon and still love it, in any format, you know, and reminding them of that, like, hey, this is the real reason why you started doing this because you enjoyed it. And then along the way, a little bit extra, props here and there, or somebody gets some breaks, and then, naturally, some of us, the brain becomes a little bit bigger, and then, you know, if, again with the awareness, if they're not in check, it gets taken out of proportion, and then if things go south, which it can in the music industry from one day to the next, most other DJs, they're not going to be looking to book you. You're just going to keep going. So it's really knowing that, why we really love what we're doing.
Yeah, and so I guess basically, correct me if I'm misinterpreting. You're saying basically, don't forget the love of the music. Like,
Right.
don't get too enamored of your own press and your own ego and thinking like, oh, I'm the big deal now. So I can just show up one night and just play anything. Like, no, like, don't, still love it, still impress yourself.
Yeah.
I'm throwing out words of my own now, but yeah, like,
Yeah. Yep.
You
You're
hit
right.
it.
Yep.
yeah, this is awesome. But I mean, I gotta throw out one stupid remark, and then we'll wrap up with some. I gotta say, like, I forget the comedian. Her name is Maura, because she said her experience resonated with mine. I would tape stuff off of MTV, so I'd hold up the little tape recorder to the TV. So I'd get like little snippets of like Men at Work playing, and then my mom yelling in the background, like. And if the comedian who has talked about it, like, so I would be listening to my tapes and hear like my mom yelling in the background. So that's great stuff. So that definitely brings me back to. Actually, I won't say the year, because I'm like you guys. I'm really young. Like,
Totally.
But no, I mean, again, this has been really, hopefully, inspirational. I think, I think a lot of young people in this scene can learn a lot from all of us. But I really appreciate you guys. I hope all three of you. I hope to have you guys back on to dispense more wisdom. But let's take it out with you guys. Talk about where we can get your stuff and what you have coming up in the near future, whether it be in Phoenix or wherever. Again, whoever wants to start, it's a toss up.
All right, I'll kick it off.
Do it.
You guys could find me on NDM Digital, ndmdigital.com, and that's my muse for everything that I do. I still create mixes. I'm regular on my YouTube channel. All the links on the website. What I do most often these days are my DJ workshops for youth, and my comic books. I have workshops coming up with Boys and Girls Club and Free Arts and other organizations here in Phoenix. And with the comic book, I'm part of the Indie Comic Book Showcase at Fan Fusion June 6th. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna be on the panel for that, and just talk about having fun making comic books. So that's the fun of art. Being able to do kind of anything you like. So
Awesome.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, I put Mr. Linden on the spot a lot. So how about Min.D? You want to tell us? Want to go next and tell us what you got coming?
So socials are all the same at Miss Min.D. It's MISSMIN That's all my socials. Right now, what I got coming up, I have SEMPA, which is my producer workshop class every third Thursday at a club here called Timber Room. And we're actually releasing our next remix contest with Tilted Records.
Go on.
Remix contest, Jeremy.
It's like literally the only time I produce.
Yeah, so we host a remix contest probably every 6 months with a label. Most of them have been local labels, since we have like 6 house music labels here. And we're gonna do a remix contest. And then yeah, show related, I definitely have a lot on the docket. You can go to my Miss Min.D page to figure all that out. I don't want to list every single one of them up. Got some festivals this year I'm super excited about. Mostly local festivals I'm playing. And yeah, I don't have any music coming out quite yet, but I've been producing about 5 years now. So
We should revisit Resurrection.
we should
We should resurrect it.
we should resurrect it. It's a track that yes,
Nice.
I need
I'm
to
gonna
get back on.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
send
need
you
to.
my YouTube with a bunch of mixes on there. I'm mostly mixed for my record label. I've had a record label since 2005.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of genres on there from people all over the world.
Yeah.
And
Could also send me where you take demos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I the demo thing, I kind of don't do it anymore. The industry kind of changed, maybe a couple years ago, and then it just made it harder to pay people. So
Yeah. Well, you think we do this for money?
well, you know what? When I started doing the label in 2005, I went through a spree there maybe to like 2010 where I was doing pretty good.
Nice.
And then everything changed when the Spotify and all that stuff
Yeah.
started to, so that was a little bit more when the vinyl and the CDs were transitioning. I was able to do licensing. So I was licensing to like Jockey Club Ibiza, CD things overseas and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And then everything changed, and then now I just do it more for myself.
The fact that something like 30,000 new tracks come out a week is just insane.
Yeah.
It's just it's so hard to make any movement
Yeah.
in the industry now, and it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you got a poster.
I do have a poster, but that's whatever. I also do most of my own design for my shows and stuff, but most of my socials, it's Mr. Linden, MRLINDEN. So SoundCloud. I'm pretty active on YouTube, and I try to post video mixes. I try to record if I'm out playing live. I'll try to get those out as much as possible. Coming up shows, I'm playing this Friday, but
Back of the house.
Back of the house. What?
Vinyl night.
Yeah, it's our first vinyl night, and then I'll be playing one of the festivals that she's playing at. It's called Cascadia. I like to call it like Burning Man in the Woods. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Hector are playing back. We're gonna play old. So we used to do back in the day. It used to be two full, like full setups that were be playing at the same time, as opposed to like people nowadays, when two DJs go back to back, they usually just play on a couple of CDJs on the same mixer. But we're going to try the old school way where you set up different mixers and go into the sound system together. It's
nice.
2x4 or something like that. And so that's going to be really fun. That's coming up later on. And then I'm started a quarterly thing. I'm calling it Bar Car. It's in the bar car of a train that is a restaurant. It's a Chinese restaurant, and they have the bars made up of a couple of the cars put together. And I'm doing it kind of boiler room style. For my birthday, I did it, and it came out pretty well. So I'm going to turn it into a quarterly thing where I record local DJs as they're playing live. And so we'll see how that goes. I got my first one coming up at the end of this month.
Nice.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, yeah, we got to make sure that, obviously Miss Min.D and Mr. Linden have connected already, but, we got to get the three of you guys to connect when we're done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give a shout out to a DJ friend of mine who wasn't able to make it today, for other commitments, but DJ Esteban also does Milk and Honey mixes. I told him I'd give him a shout out. You guys check him out. Also super talented guy, great drummer, great musician. But yeah, well, thank you, all three of you. Thank you so much for coming on, dispensing your wisdom. I'm being dead serious. I definitely want to have all three of you back on in the future to dispense more wisdom, help more people, and just, well, and hopefully we'll spread some word about you guys, get more people listening to what you're doing. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Big fingers, giant fingers coming in to hit the. Wait, I can't find it.
Finger.